Okay, hey everyone. Today we're talking about wireless range extenders and marrying these guys up with wireless routers and some of the benefits and pros, cons, and especially in the RV/camper environment. Okay, so in my last video, or one of our previous videos, we compared the Netgear EX6100 V2 and the EX6120. We talked about these guys and how they compare as indoor systems, how they compare to outdoor antennas like the Wi-Fi Cant Pro 2 and the Halo Redport, both of which I own. Disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by any of these guys. I have no affiliation with anyone. All of this stuff was paid for with my own money. With that out of the way, so spoiler alert from that video, this was kind of the winner, had the most pros, least cons, and it won based on affordability, flexibility, and kind of the feature sets involved with that. So I'm going to do, for this video, we'll do a quick recap. We'll cover why this guy won and how it works again. The physical setup between this and a wireless router, because in that video somebody asked, or I said if anybody wanted to know how we have this set up in our camper, that I would do another video, and some people asked me to please make that video. So that's kind of where, that's the premise behind this video, is how this is set up. So after I do a quick recap on this, we'll show how they're physically connected, the hardware setup, the benefits of using a wireless router instead of just a range extender, and then I'll also talk about the software setup for both of these guys, and then we'll go into pricing and some cheap alternatives. A side note, we are going to be giving away this guy here, the Wi-Fi Cant Pro 2, so stick around to the end and I'll talk a little bit about that and how we're going to do the social giveaway for that. So, recap real quick. What is this guy right here? This is a wireless range extender, and typically the way this is used is you'll have a Wi-Fi signal over here and you'll have a bunch of devices over here that can't quite reach that wireless signal. And so what this does is it plays the man in the middle. It says it takes the internet here and sends it back over here and extends it, hence wireless range extender, so that all these devices connect. So in the camper environment and for our life, the way we use that is exactly the same, except our devices could be anywhere around here. This makes it easier to manage those devices, and so the benefits that we talked about in the last video were, if you're connected to a park Wi-Fi, you can have all of your devices connected over here, and every time you move your camper to a new place and you got new park Wi-Fi, you only have to change one password and log in over here instead of taking all of your devices and having to connect them all to that new internet source. So it makes it a lot easier for connecting devices. That's the primary advantage of this guy. For us, we have about 15 to 18 devices at any given time connected, and at any given time 3 to 5 of those are streaming. So that comes into play with bandwidth, and I'll talk about how this helps manage the bandwidth as well. But that's our environment. That's what we do. Another big benefit is that this has a AC plug on the back, so you'd have to plug that in low on the wall or something like that, where typically plugs are. But for a $2 extension, you can plug it in like this, and that gives you flexibility to move it around the camper, up into the overheads. You can hide it in a cabinet or behind the blinds if you don't want to see it. You can put it just about anywhere in the camper easily for a couple dollars for an extension cord. Also, that helps with placement and proximity to your internet source or the camp Wi-Fi. So I've done it before where I moved it from the back of the camper to the front because I could see the park antenna was in the front of the camper. Put it in the window up there, and you get I got a 2 to 3 times signal boost increase, and that's very typical for these, to get a 2 to 3 times signal boost just from moving it from one side of the camper or from the front to the back. And instead of, if you've ever played that game where you're running from the laptop from the front to the back trying to get a better Wi-Fi signal from the park, now when you find that spot you can move this there, and then you're free to roam around your camper with your devices. So those are the big advantages to this guy. This is why it won over these guys. It was mostly price and complexity for setting those up. This has a very simple interface, and we prefer this. I prefer this. So going into hardware setup, it's a very simple hardware setup to plug it into a router. On the back of almost all routers, you'll have a port called Internet, and then you'll have 4 what are typically called N-way or dumb switches back here. So that Ethernet port back here that's labeled Internet, we just plug this into here. And a feature of this router, of this Wi-Fi range extender, is that it will not only take that signal in here and put it out over here, it'll also pump that internet out on here. And for those that are worrying about strain on the cable, this cable doesn't actually work. It's just a dummy cable I'm using for demonstration here. So you can pump that internet out on here, and then it goes into the D-Link into here, and then you can have all your stuff connected to this device. So that's basically a very simple hardware setup. It's not terribly complicated. You connect them, and that's enabled by default. So why would you want to do this connection with a wireless router instead of just using this? The biggest advantage is going to be for if you have multiple internet devices. So if you remember old school modems, like maybe you had a Comcast modem, and on the back of it you had that coaxial cable port, and then you had an Ethernet cable that came off and it ran into this internet port on the back of a wireless router. That was kind of the typical setup for a long time in America. Now they merge a lot of those. They're all in one units, and but that typical setup is why these things came about, because cable modems didn't used to have Wi-Fi built into them. So this just became a cable modem basically. It's a wireless cable modem, but it's a cable modem nonetheless, essentially because it's feeding internet out on that port and you can bring it in over here. If this is a modem, then we also have other devices that act as modems. So this hotspot, for instance, this is a Netgear model LB1120. It's a hotspot basically modem. You put a SIM chip into the back right here, and we use AT&T, or we did use AT&T. It was $35 a month, and we could get internet through this. And then on the back here, you see there's an internet port, and so we can just do that same thing, plug these two together, and this acts as a modem. Now, if I didn't have this, I would have to switch all my passwords again over to this guy. And then if we were off-grid boondocking, we're going to have the satellite set up. Our HughesNet satellite dish is going to be set up, and then we're going to have to reset all the passwords to connect to this. If I decide that the signal's a little bit too far away and I want to go with an outdoor, I don't think I would do this, but if I wanted to set this up, I could. And again, I don't have to change all the passwords. I could just plug it into here, and everything's connected to here. So that password setup, switching between devices, having everything connected to here is one of the big benefits. Those are the two biggest benefits. Additionally, I talked a little bit excuse me, about throughput earlier. If you use one of these guys, you've just doubled your antennas as well. So you can use this to just manage the internet traffic in and out on this side, and then it's pumping out over there. It doesn't have to do management of 15 devices connected and all the packet management, pushing stuff back and forth through here. This can handle a lot of your internal traffic to your camper, handling your devices and throughput and all that with these two antennas. And this just focuses on internet. So this is more powerful, can handle more, and this just becomes strictly for internet coming in and out of the camper. So that's another benefit, is the antenna. So that's a pretty big deal if you have a lot of devices. On here also you can do port forwarding. You've got an internal firewall that's a little more robust than that one. You can do QoS. You can do set up time blocking for certain IP addresses. That's all really advanced in the weed stuff. If you want to do that kind of stuff, or you have any kind of desire for that, parental controls and things like that, Google the model number of whatever device you're looking for and manual, or type in the model number and then like parental controls or port forwarding for gaming. If you need to do something for gaming, or you need to do some people do tunneling, VPN tunneling for their work. If you have to VPN tunnel in for work, it's pretty easy to just Google that and VPN tunneling. You're going to know really quick if your device is capable. This doesn't allow for like VPN tunneling and stuff, not built in. You might be able to do it through your computer and then internet through here, but there's no VPN port forwarding capabilities on that device. So not to say you couldn't do it, it's just I would have to dig into the weeds on that. And my point is, for both of those kinds of situations, is Google it. Punch in the model number, Google it, and you're going to find out if you can do it or not, and probably come up with a pretty good solution on how to implement it. Okay, that's it for that. We're getting along here on the video time, so I want to keep this concise. Next up, I'm going to talk real quick about software, and it kind of blends with what we just talked about. That was kind of a good segue. Is for software, Google the model number. If you're picking one of these up secondhand, and I'll talk about that in a minute when we talk about pricing, then you're going to want to Google the model number if it doesn't come with a manual, and Google model number, and then put manual at the end, or quick start guide. There's reset buttons on all these devices. All you need is like a little pin, and while the device has power applied and powered on, you just push that little button right there. You'll hear a physical button click inside. These devices also have them. They're little tiny holes right here. You just stick a little pin in there to reset it, and that's if you're getting these second hand. What that does is it wipes out all the settings and puts it back to a factory state like you just pulled it out of the box. And that makes it super easy to start from ground zero. And if you're following along with manuals and quick start guides, you should be seeing everything exactly like it's laid out in those manuals. Once that's the basic thing that you need to do always is change the password. That's going to be step one, and any kind of a smart setup interface is going to tell you, sorry, car passing by. Any kind of an interface is going to tell you, the first thing you do is set the password and then the SSID, which is the Wi-Fi list that you're going to scroll past, that you're going to scroll through to find whatever. Like for this one it would be D-Link, for one of these other guys it would be like Linksys or Netgear. You're going to find that, you're going to change the SSID, probably if you want to. For us, we make it home adrift, you can do it whatever you want, but password, SSID, follow those smart guides, follow the manual for the device you buy. That's pretty basic, it's pretty straightforward. If you want to get into all that other advanced stuff, like I said, you're going to be Googling that stuff, and it's kind of out of the scope for this video. The software setup for this guy is pretty simple as well. If you're buying it, if you're getting it second hand, go ahead, plug it in, hit the reset button, and wait for the lights to all finish flashing. And once you're done with that, on the back, these guys will usually tell you the login, the network to log into, and then they'll be passwordless initially, or if there is an initial password, it'll tell you what it is on the back. And then once you're logged into that, it'll say pull up a browser, and for this one specifically, you go to mywifi.ext.net, and from there it walks you through the smart setup. It's very simple. You basically tell it what the park Wi-Fi signal is, what the password is, and then you set up an SSID for this side so you know what to connect to. Again, for this one I use like Home Adrift EXT is typically what I put in, so I know that that's the extender. And then nobody ever connects to that. I make this a different password so that the kids don't try to jump on that. I want them on that router for all those other benefits, firewall, blocking, time blocking, parental controls, and stuff like that. So that the internet just comes out of here. The internet coming out of here is by default on this guy. I really like it. It's been a workhorse between this one and this one. There's nothing we can't do. What else can I talk about? Pricing and alternatives. So you're looking for this guy, he's middle of the road, probably about $60 to $80. A really advanced one like our R7000 Netgear is going to run about $200. With that, why would you want to spend that extra money? It comes with some additional built-in features like more antennas, beam forming, which I find to be somewhat beneficial. It's not worth the $200 if all you have is 5 devices and you're in a camper. That's better for like a large home or something like that. For the beam forming benefits and stuff like that. We also can go down to like a Linksys. These guys are about $30 to $40. All the way to, and this is one of my like pro tips, I guess, or if you're on a budget and you really just need something as cheap as possible, start checking out Goodwills. I got this guy at Goodwill for $8, and it came with the power supply, and it works perfectly fine. If I had nothing else, I would have my whole family connected to this, and we would be making it work. But $8 for that guy, and the only disadvantage to that is it doesn't have 5G. It's 2.4 only, but for a family of 10 that's riding on a park Wi-Fi, I'm sorry, a family of 5 with 10 devices riding on park Wi-Fi, that's going to be perfectly sufficient, especially if you're on a budget. Okay, getting to the end and the wrap up here, we're going to talk about, I didn't cover these. This guy's about $60. This guy's probably about $40. So there's your pricing on those as well. So we're going to be giving this away. I'm not sure if I mentioned that at the beginning. I was supposed to. But we're going to be giving this away. We're going to do a 40-day, 45-day giveaway. Today is November 4th. So we're trying to figure out who the president is right now. But on December 15th, we're going to give this guy away. Yeah. So there'll be a social link below. You can connect. You can click on that, and it'll take you to our Facebook contest page. And you'll get more options for everyone you share. So where did this come from? I found this in the back. I forgot I had it. I think I broke the antenna on the first one we had, and so I bought this to kind of piecemeal parts together and have backup parts. And then I soldered that antenna together, and so I just left this in the package. It wasn't even open. And then I found out about these guys, and I tested these guys and found these to be better than these guys. I was more happy with that and the solution it provided than having to run cables through the camper, and I didn't think this had a whole lot better range. But if you have nothing, this is absolutely wonderful. This little guy right here is basically the same as one of these guys, in the fact that it has an antenna port on the back for all of your stuff to connect to, and then on the front you run the USB cable to the outdoor antenna. It's about a 25-foot antenna cable that goes to that antenna, and so it's basically the same thing. You got all your wireless stuff over here, and you got your park Wi-Fi over here, and it has a DHCP router installed, so you can connect multiple devices and share that antenna. You get all the benefits basically of one of these guys, except the antenna is typically going to be hard mounted onto the back. So yeah, if you don't have anything, this is not a bad deal. These run about $150 on Amazon, and I just saw when I was doing some research, I found they have a version 2 of this as well, and I don't know how that one fares, but the Pro 2 is decent. You can watch another video I did on it. But anyway, we're going to give that away for free, so if you have nothing, it's absolutely better than that. It's worth 150 bucks, so yeah, go ahead and click below and go check out that contest. What else? We did the giveaway. Oh, I'll be doing an unboxing on it tomorrow. That's going to be my next video. I'm going to sit down today and put some thoughts together, and then I'm going to make another video for that guy. That'll be dropping, and that's a good segue into go ahead and subscribe so you get that notification, plus future videos. If you click the bell icon, you'll get the notifications in your inbox. So on top of that, if you thought this video was useful, please give me a thumbs up. It helps our channel, it helps us out, and it gives me some encouragement to keep making these videos. So with that, that's all I got. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.